Hey ladies and gents, welcome back to the vlog. My name is Drew and I'm just so happy that you're here today. So, I was browsing the Reddits the other day and I perused through r/CS majors, which is an amazing subreddit if you haven't been to it, by the way. If you're a computer science student, I definitely recommend you check it out. My nose is itchy. Okay, sorry about that. So, I was reading through r/CS majors and it looks like there's a lot of threads about internships and undergraduate research and all the cool stuff that computer science majors do when summertime rolls around and there's nothing to do because you don't have class or you're not working. So yeah, I was reading through a couple of the undergraduate research tabs and I thought it would be really cool to talk about it because I actually did undergraduate research when I was at UTD, and so I thought I'd talk a little bit about my experience and how I got my gig and some of the things that I worked on and what to expect if you are wanting to do undergraduate research. So first things first, let's talk a little bit about what roles research plays in the bigger picture of a university. So a lot of people think that a university is a place that you go to get a degree and all that good stuff, but that's about 50% of it. The other 50% is universities are actually centers where original research happens. So a lot of the times you'll have professors that are forwarding the human race by way of science and math and liberal arts and all this other stuff. And they do research so that they can be published and they can bring prestige to the university and just do good things for the human race, I guess you can say. So a big part of a university is also research. About 50% of the focus of the university is research, the other 50 is teaching and granting degrees and all that good stuff. So that being said, there is no shortage of research that's being done in the field of computer science, and chances are at your university there's probably a lot of research being done in the world of computer science. So with that in mind, I think the first step that you should take with any sort of undergraduate research, and this is just assuming that you're going from total blank start, there's no previous report or anything like that. We'll talk about another case here in a second, but assuming you're just starting from a blank slate, the best thing I can say is start by going to your department's faculty page. And usually on the faculty page, they'll have a list of all the professors, and most of the time they'll actually have links to what they're working on, or their research and their bibliography and their CV and all that good stuff. From there, start reading through the list and see if you can find a couple projects that you're interested in and the professors that are working on them as well. Now, once you have a couple ideas or things that are interested, or say, hey, yeah, that's cool, or yeah, I'd like to learn more about that, the next thing you should do is go and find papers that were written by that professor in the area that you're interested in and read them. Believe it or not, professors love talking about the research that they've done and the publications they have all day long. They can do it day and night until their face turns blue and they asphyxiate themselves from talking so long and not breathing. I'm just kidding, that's a really extreme example, but professors like to talk about research, and if you drop in on a professor and say, hey, I read your paper on human-computer interactions in 3D spaces, or non-deterministic finite state automata, or something like that, then their eyes will perk up immediately, and it's like, wow, somebody read my paper, and it wasn't just the review committee that published it. Somebody actually read my research and was interested in it. So professors love that. Which brings us to our next point. So once you've actually read the paper, and again, you don't have to read the paper and understand it fully. Most of the time, a lot of these papers are written at a very high level and at a very theoretical level, so don't be afraid if you don't understand everything, but at least read through the abstract and find a couple points that you'd like to talk about or you can talk about intelligently for a couple minutes. And then the most fun part comes, where you actually drop in and you say hi to that professor. So the best way to build rapport is obviously face-to-face. Please do not send a professor an email. I can tell you from personal experience that I've talked to professors and they get hundreds of emails a week from students from all corners of the world. They're like, hey, I want to do research in this area. Can you sponsor my visa or whatever? It's a long story, but a lot of the time professors are not going to respond to emails about research or research opportunities. You usually have to walk in and talk to them. And I know that can be scary, especially if you're an undergrad and you're approaching this PhD wielding professor with tons and tons of experience, but yeah, it's once you actually sit down and start talking and open the dialogue, it gets a lot easier. So I would say find when their office hours are, and after you read the paper, drop in and say, hey, Dr. So-and-so, you don't know me, so you can always say you don't know me, but I happen to read, I'm a student here, you should always mention that, so hey, you don't know me, but I'm actually a student here in the Department of Computer Science or the Software Engineering School, whatever. And I read your paper on this topic, and I was wondering if you had a few minutes to talk about it. And most of the time they'll say, yeah, I'd be happy to talk to it. Take a seat, let's talk. And so from there, you have a couple talking points in your head, and you can start talking about that, and usually they'll be willing to talk about it. And once that rapport is open, you can start to talk and kind of get a feel for this professor that you're working with. And once you have a feel for it, you can then move into, hey, I noticed that you're working, or the website says that you're working in this area, and I'm kind of interested in it. Do you perchance have undergraduate research opportunities, or what advice would you give to an undergraduate wanting to do research in this area? And that last part is important because you're not implicitly asking for, well, you are implicitly asking for opportunities, but it's not your primary focus. You're also saying, hey, if you don't have any opportunities, what recommendations would you have? And that's usually a lot easier to swallow than, please give me a research opportunity now, Plox. So with that, they usually will give you an answer. It's like, hey, you know, my lab was working on this or that. I think it'd be perfect for an undergraduate research study. Or, you know, I've been working on this problem and I can't seem to get a crack on it. It seems pretty simple, but I just don't have the time. Why don't you work on that? Or they may say no. They may be like, hey, you know, I'm flattered that you're interested, but my lab doesn't really have the funding right now. I could definitely keep you in mind for future opportunities, but it just doesn't look like it's in the cards right now. And that's okay too. They're not giving you a straight no, but they're just saying, hey, I don't have the funding right now. And that's a perfectly normal thing for a professor to say, if you know the world of research, that is. And if they say yes, then great. Then they'll usually give you some instructions on how to get involved with the lab, and you can take it from there. But if they say no, then you can usually, like I said, follow up. It's like, okay, you know, I'm still very interested though. Do you have any recommendations, any journals that I should read, or, you know, things that I can do to make myself more marketable in this area? And then they can usually give you some information. And from there, don't let it just drop at that point. Definitely keep talking to the professor, maybe send him an email once in a while, say, hey, this is so-and-so, or send him an email after you meet with them, obviously. Say, hey, this is so-and-so, I just want to follow up and thank you for your time and everything like that. And then try and email them at least like once a quarter or once a semester just to say hi, because professors kind of get lonely sometimes, and they like to know that people acknowledge them. And, you know, you may ask for opportunities later down the road, but it's always good to have that rapport, and it's good to have somebody that has expertise in the area that you're interested in, so that later down the road, if you need a recommendation or you're considering graduate research, they may be able to advise you as well. So that was about a 7-minute guide on how to get an undergraduate research opportunity from just a cold start. But there's actually an easier way to do it. And the easiest way, and the way that I got my undergraduate gig, was I took a class with a professor that had a lab at UTD. I took HCI 2 and Human Computer Interactions 2. I should elaborate there in case you don't know what HCI is. But I took HCI 2. I did really well in the class. I got an A. And the professor at the end of the semester put a footnote and said, hey, I'm looking for undergraduate research. If you're interested, definitely stop by. And so I stopped by, and that's how I got my gig. So always, I know a lot of you are really great students, so always bust your chops in a class and make the best grade that you can possible. But if you just so happen to pair up with a professor during a semester that's working on a research topic that you're interested in, definitely bust your chops really hard in that class, because over the semester they'll get to know you, they'll get to know your work, and if you can prove yourself and you show an interest in it, then it's much easier to talk about undergraduate research opportunities and then welcome you to the lab, because they kind of already know you versus just dropping in during office hours one day. So give that a shot. So there's 2 ways you can go. You can go from just a cold start and nothing on the plate and no rapport, or you can go with a professor that you kind of already know from class and you've worked hard, and then there's an opportunity there as well. So that's the really, really quick, long and short of it. Obviously, research is a very intricate part of the university livelihood, and there's a lot of points that I dusted over, but that's what the comment section is for. So if you have any questions or you just want to drop a comment, then feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you like the video, definitely leave a like. And we will end up this video. I hope it's really helped you guys out. Like I said, I went pretty fast, and I welcome you to watch the video a couple times to really get a feel for it. But I hope that I've given you a couple steps that you can pursue in order to get an undergraduate research opportunity, and hopefully work on a project and get a publication and put that on your resume so you have it for forever and ever, and your name is enshrined in the world of research, computer science, or whatever it is you're researching. So we'll end out this video in the normal way, and that is by me saying, always remember, friends, that you are wanted, you are loved, and you are appreciated. You have a special talent that nobody else has, and the world is waiting on you to bring it out. So muster a little courage, go out into the world, and change it. That's what the world's waiting on. You.